Welcome, it's Walking Thoughts, episode 6. Walking Thoughts is where I share with you the things that pop into my head as I'm out for my walks that I'm doing to get some exercise and lose some weight. And before I get into the thought of the day, I wanted to share I've actually been struggling with some pretty significant lower back pain for about a couple of weeks, and I thought walking might actually help it, and maybe it has some, but I've been struggling with that, and I'm hoping that'll go away soon. I'll be back shortly with my thoughts for the day. Tonight I want to talk about something that relates back to how I identified myself in episode 2 when I said that I was a Christian, a conservative, and a Republican in that order. I'm not backing down from that, but what I want to get into tonight relates to mainly the second and third, the conservative and the Republican part. I know I called myself a conservative, and I am, but to be completely, honest or precise, it would be that I am a libertarian-leaning conservative. And there's these political ideology quizzes you can take, and when I do those, I still end up, on the right end of the spectrum, which means conservative. But the x-axis usually separates authoritarian on top and libertarian on the bottom, and I'm always a little below that line. So that makes me a libertarian leaning conservative, and that may be where I fall out of lockstep with other people who call themselves conservatives, or definitely other people who are Republicans. That's because of the view of what the proper role of government is. And to a libertarian or a libertarian-leaning conservative like myself, it's not the role of government to protect us from ourselves. The government has no reason, no call, no warrant to enact laws that really do nothing but protect us from ourselves. Simple examples are seatbelt laws. I wear my seatbelt. I wore my seatbelt before it became a law, but I don't think the government should tell us that we have to wear them. That's a simple example. People, the counter will be, well, oh, but it saves lives and it reduces injuries. True, but the government has no business protecting us from our own stupidity. If we want to do stupid things, the government doesn't really have the right to prevent us from doing that by creating criminal laws that are going to take away our property and or our liberty just because they're being protective. It's what's been referred to as the nanny state, and both parties support it. Both Republicans and Democrats, and even some people who call themselves conservatives, support laws that are really nothing more than big government, nanny state, paternalism, protecting us from our own stupidity. Other examples would be gambling laws. There's absolutely no reason why the government should make gambling illegal. If somebody wants to risk their own money, that's their decision. The most common example that's used for this issue is drugs. And I think it's Oregon who just recently decriminalized all drugs. And I've had discussions about this with some folks, and I'll say the libertarian argument, the philosophical argument for legalizing marijuana, for example, is the same argument that can be applied to any other drug. It's about what role the government plays and doing harm to ourselves. The basic principle that I gave at the beginning, which is it's not the government's job to protect us from ourselves. I will say I do draw a line between marijuana and other harder drugs. In my career as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney, I have seen that heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, other hard drugs don't just have negative effects on the person who used them. Multiple other crimes that are actual crimes where people do harm to others, either to their property or to their person, are fueled by the use of those harder drugs. So I think a line can be drawn between marijuana and all the other drugs as far as legalization goes. You may have gleaned already from what I was saying that I do support the legalization of marijuana. I don't understand. I don't know that I've ever understood why it was illegal. I am not personally a user. Don't really have any desire to use. And I don't want other states to go the route of Colorado, because Colorado basically let the marijuana industry write their law. So it was not done well. And it was actually done to protect those big business interests instead of really the rights of the individual. So, you know, that's, I guess, bordering on something a little controversial. And if necessary, I can go into more detail on that issue in the future. But the bottom line is, where I'm coming from philosophically, politically, is the government has no business protecting us from ourselves. And we should look at that with all kinds of the laws that we have. Originally, I was planning to go a different route with this. I was going to talk about conservatives and Republicans' just general views of the Constitution and the role of government, but I'll get to that some other night. Tonight's workout summary: I walked 3.18 miles in 53 minutes and 31 seconds and burned 482 calories. Glad you're joining me. Look forward to talking to you again. And as I sign off, I remind you, don't be a jerk.